What's up, everybody? How are you, Jeremy?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing, Matt?
I'm doing fine. Had some cookies, had some cake earlier today. I'm doing fantastic. What are we doing here tonight? What is this?
We're going to exhume some X-Files.
Yes. So hit that like and subscribe if you like listening to two dudes talking about the X Files one episode at a time until the very end. Hit that like and subscribe, and we appreciate all the people out there who are listening and leaving comments and things of that nature. We had a very nice comment from an individual. I forgot to mention this like 3 episodes ago, but we had a very nice comment where the individual caught our podcast and went through and listened to every episode from the very beginning, and then basically said, guys, do the rest of the series so I have something to listen to while I'm at work overnights. So we're here, we're back. And this week we are going to talk about an episode called Bad Blood. This is directed by Cliff Bull and written by Vince Gilligan, Mr. Breaking Bad himself. He's back, and he has written a banger of an episode. What do you remember about this?
I remember the kid, the redheaded kid from The Sandlot.
Yes,
having glowing eyes and biting people and being hyper incompetent. Like everybody, I remember him being reviewed, or other people thought he was stupid.
Yeah, I remember the glowing green eyes of the quote-unquote vampires in this episode. I also remember this being hilarious. Like, I actually remember as a kid laughing throughout this episode.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah. And rewatching this, I started watching this today after I watched Kill Switch, and I got 6 minutes in, and I stopped it. And I went up and I told Alyssa, I was like, I'm not watching this right now. We have to watch this later. Like, you need to watch this with me. Because, don't worry about the killer trees. Don't worry about the killer dolls. We're going to watch this one. And we watched this one together, and it was an excellent time. But let's talk about why. What happens here in the opening intro?
That's just it. When I sat down and watched this, like, I took good notes, and normally in the formats that we do, I talk basically about everything. We kick around different various things that had happened through it. But this episode is so wonderful in the grand scheme of things that I feel bad spoiling any of this for anybody that's listening to this, instead of just saying, stop this right now, go hit play, enjoy this episode for what it is, because it's so fucking good to discover it by yourself. And then come back and smash that like button and leave 100%. Comments. But
yeah, this is one you want to kind of watch before you listen to us kind of talk about it, because there's so many, it reminds me of, it's so intricate. I'll say, like, the way that they set everything up and the flashbacks and how people remember certain events and stuff like that. It's such a joy to just sort of like experience this. Jeremy's 100% right. Watch this or rewatch this. If you watched it back in the day and you remember kind of liking it, rewatch it before you listen to us talk about it, because it is fantastic.
So it starts. Some kid is running through some woods in Texas, and he's like yelling, "Help! Help me! Help!" And he's being chased by what looks like a wizard in 480p. We find out that Mulder is the wizard. He tackles some ginger teen, and he stakes him through a heart. Like, he grabs the nearest stone, he puts a stake to this kid's chest, and just pounds it into him. It's just brutal.
Yeah.
And then the kid dies.
We don't see Mulder at first. Like,
no, it's just all
it's all completely shrouded. And then, like, after he stakes this, you get that shot where I think it's Scully, right? She's like, Mulder or whatever, and he turns, the sweatiest he's ever been.
Yeah.
Like, his face is just dripping sweat.
Scully pulls up right next to him. she's in shock almost that he murdered this teen so gruesomely, and then like he opens her mouth and shows her the fangs, and then she takes the false fangs out of the kid's mouth, and
Yeah.
Mulder says, "Oh shit." Title screen.
Smash cut to the title screen. This is probably the most memorable cold open for me, because I remember this from when I was a kid. When I started this up, even Alyssa, when we started this up today, she knew exactly what episode this was from the first shot of the cold open. She's like, "This is that vampire one."
Yep.
She knew it because this opening is it's just so memorable. It's not long. It has this dramatic moment here where Mulder kills this kid, stakes him through the heart, and then it does that thing where the cold opens, the best cold opens, where you're like, how in the hell is Mulder going to get out of this? Like, how he just killed this kid, and it's got that funny stake of humor at the very end. It's like, oh shit, and then boom, title screen. Loved it. Love everything about this. It's fantastic.
It was still so gruesome.
Yeah.
Like just murdering a teen by it's one thing to accidentally shoot him or hit him with a car or have a killer AI nuke him from orbit, but actually taking a rock and pounding a stake through somebody's chest is very purposeful wet work, you know?
Yeah.
So Scully visits Mulder in his office and he looks at her and he just like, don't you even fucking start with me. And so she just sits down in silence and he wads like a report that he was writing up. He misses it, misses the trash can, gets up and just starts kicking the shit out of the trash can. And then that's when Scully starts in on him. It's like, this kid's family is going to sue us for $446 million. It's like, damn. And they want to talk, or Mulder immediately wants to talk about it. Like, why don't you tell me your side of the story? And Scully's like, no, I don't. So we get our story straight. Like, we don't need to seem like we're in collusion. You murdered that kid is ultimately what she's saying.
Yeah, like, you did the thing, you overreacted, and she's like, you took the thing and you did the thing, and Mulder's like, I know what I saw. I know what I saw. That kid was a vampire.
And so he just wants her to tell her everything she observed. And he wants her to start at the beginning, which was just yesterday. Like yesterday morning at 11 a.m. or something like that. And so the story begins from Scully's perspective, and immediately things seem off because Mulder is being overly pushy about what the quote unquote evidence he's throwing out there. Like, we're just gonna go. There's a cow. It got drained of blood. It only had 2 puncture marks. It didn't have 4 puncture marks like the chupacabra. And you
going
realize,
to Texas. Yeehaw!
You realize that it's not the normal way we view an episode of the X-Files from like a documentary point of view. It's actually the events as Scully remembers them in her own head. And she does not treat Mulder nicely in her own head when he's being douchey. And so they go, they're hanging, or there's no coroner's office, so they have to go to the local funeral parlor. Mulder is making bad jokes about however the bodies that are in there, and then this local cop shows up and he's just super hot, and he just immediately like knocks Scully off her feet with his rustic handsome charm, and
she's got the googly eyes for him.
She does. And Mulder just like it's just, it encapsulates how Mulder figures shit out in this show so well.
Yes,
because it just cuts to from their conversation to Mulder pointing out shoelaces on the dead body. And he's like, take me to the creepiest graveyard in town, and asks Scully to stay behind to do the autopsy.
Now, what I thought of you at that moment, because we've been doing this 5.5 seasons so far, and when you're sort of describing events that Mulder, you always say like he jumps to the most ridiculous conclusion possible, and you're right. Like Vince Gilligan wrote this. I just imagine he's like was thinking exactly like you. He watches all these episodes. He's a fan. He's like, look, you know, Mulder does just jump to the most ridiculous thing, and he shows it here. And I love it how David Duchovny plays it in from Scully's perspective, where he just like dramatically like goes over to the feet. He's like, the shoes are untied. This means something, and it's so hilarious. And there's a moment when Scully's like, "You want me to do an autopsy? What am I looking for?" And he's like, "I don't know." It's just perfect. It's perfect.
And so she does, and what? Oh God! No, that's a later scene. We'll get back to that. But anyway, and it's still from her perspective. So she goes through all the trouble of weighing the body parts, which was pretty gross. And for a bloodless corpse, those body parts were pretty bloody.
Yeah. There's a lot of blood.
Then she gets home, or she goes back to the hotel, and her mattress has magic fingers. Now, I've slept in hundreds of hotel rooms over the years. I've never seen the magic fingers from this episode and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yeah,
I've always wanted it. But for you kids out there apparently used to be hotel rooms, sleazy hotel rooms that you could like put 50 cents in this machine next to it, and it would shake the soul out of you. The whole bed would just be like, and I've always wanted to experience it. I've never seen it.
Me too. I've never encountered one. I'll have to Google one, Jeremy. I'll Google like where is the closest Magic Fingers hotel room, and then you and I can just travel down there, and we'll get on that bed together, we'll put in the 50 cents, and we'll just bounce together.
Oh man,
like bros.
Put on that one love song by that guy, like "Hello, is it me you're looking for?"
Lionel Richie?
Yeah. We'll put on some Lionel Richie, light a couple of candles, put on some tasteful, sexy PJs.
Because we'll do an episode of the show from the Magic Finger bed.
Well, as long as we don't say fuck in the first 30 seconds or tell people what we're doing in the first 30 seconds of the episode, I think we'll be all right. So she turns on the magic finger. She clearly wants to do that. She has a pizza coming, and as she's just barely getting into it, Mulder basically like comes into her room, horribly disheveled, just covered in mud and dirt, and basically just tells her, "You need to go cut up. We found another body. You need to go autopsy it right now."
Well, the reason why she has to keep autopsying is they establish at the beginning of this episode that there's no like refrigeration in this town at all. So the bodies need to be autopsied, otherwise they're just going to kind of like decompose.
And so she gets up without having had dinner. He hops on the bed covered in his crap, and he just starts laughing.
She's so sad. She's like, "This is my room, Mulder. Don't get the bed dirty." And he's just laughing like a hyena.
And as she's stepping out, the redheaded pizza boy is delivering her pizza, and she's like, "Well, he'll pay for it." She goes down to do the autopsy. There's this one, or I think it's right off the bat, she throws all the intestines into the weighing tray.
Yeah.
And it just starts leaking this stuff, and I'm like, I know Matt is eating this shit up right now.
It's so good.
It was so gross. But sucking fat. And she finds that, similar to the last guy that she had to autopsy, that he has pizza in his system. And, well, it should be noted that earlier the autopsy resulted in a paralyzing drug was found in the system.
Yeah.
And then she's looking through this corpse and she realizes, oh my God, they both had pizza. They both were drugged through the pizza. And I just let Mulder get drugged pizza. So she kicks down the door to her own hotel room. She sees the pizza delivery guy flash his fangs. He just does this cool little glowy eye, like shoots at him 4 times, and then finds Mulder singing the Shaft song. And when she tells Mulder he was singing the Shaft theme song, he's like, I did not.
Yeah, I did not.
And then they kind of mull things over for a little bit, and Mulder's like, I need to tell, this is my half of the story. And so we get the entire day over again from Mulder's perspective. And oh my God. One of the very first things he says, he's not like a rabbit running from one fucking thing real fast to another thing. Like, he's going through the evidence very slowly. He says the words, I don't want to jump to any hasty conclusions. Yeah. And he's just like faking how grossly humble he is as an investigator.
Well, he presents Scully, because Scully presented him as like your your typical over exuberant self. But then he tells her, like, you showed up for work in your typical like dour kind of pissy mood. So she's like pissy, and he's trying to be like, well, Scully, this could be possibly something here, but I respect your opinion. I'm open to whatever you say. It's so good. It's so good.
And so but they still do didn't they do the yeehaw part going to Dallas, but it was much more reserved. Like, we're going to Dallas. Yeehaw.
Yeah, I think so.
And so they go, and as they're the hot the super hot sheriff or whatever shows up, and he has got these buck teeth snaggletooth thing going on, and he is just hillbilly as fuck. Like, you can see that Mulder views him as competition and just writes him off as just completely hick. But they end up spending a lot of this episode together. And the actor was the lead guy from what is that movie about everybody getting dumber and dumber and dumber into the future?
The main guy, the sheriff. Are you talking about the sheriff guy?
Sheriff, yeah.
That's Luke Wilson.
Yeah. He is so good playing a hick.
Oh yeah.
As he's rolling around. Like, I loved it. But they're discussing they go out to the graveyard after he calmly talks about why the shoes were untied, how that was, the piece of, or what he found on the corpse of those shoes that are untied. And he starts talking about vampires having OCD. If they see a knot, they have to untie it. If they see grains of rice or seeds laying all over the place, they have to pick them up. So they go out to this spooky graveyard while Scully is, cutting up that body, and they're going to do a stakeout. And it's funny because Mulder's telling this cop, it's like, this vampire will visit this graveyard. Yeah. And right after he says it, Ronnie pulls up in the delivery vehicle. He's like, what are y'all doing out there? Okay, bye. And he starts of course, it's a Mulder stakeout, so he's got a big ass bag of sunflower seeds. He starts scattering them all over the graveyard. And then as they're doing the stakeout, they get called out somewhere else. Something else is going on. They go out they find this crowd of people. Ronnie is standing there after dark. They got this camper van that is in reverse, going around in circles all by itself. And so they try to get the vehicle to stop. There was this really funny moment, like Mulder tries to skip over the story about the camper van, and Scully like holds him to it, and it's like the only honest part of the entire episode where either of the people are talking about themselves.
Yeah.
Because Mulder embarrassingly gets basically drugged by this vehicle for multiple laps. That's why he shows up at Scully's hotel room covered in dirt and mud.
Yeah.
Because this vehicle just trashes him.
Well, he's like, hey, we decided to shoot out the tires of this thing. And they unload like entire clips at this RV going backwards. And then Mulder's like, well, it turns out it's a lot harder to shoot out the tires of a moving vehicle than we thought. So I tried a different tactic. And it just hard slam cuts to Mulder. David Duchovny holding on to this back of the thing going, ah! I'm like, what was he trying to do? Like, I don't understand. Was he like going to just hold on and pull it to a stop? Like, what was he doing?
So good. But then he gets the vehicle stopped. They find that somebody had been drained inside, and that's the body that Scully needs to go do at night. So Mulder shows up all dirty at her apartment or room, and she, on her way out, she very she's her complaining during that scene in the hotel. I'm like, I haven't had dinner yet, and I'm so hungry. And then on the way, I was like, don't you touch that bed. And then he gets the pizza.
Hold on real quick. I love the moment there when Mulder, from his perspective, he's sitting in that room and Scully's just reading him the riot act about how hungry she is. She does everything for him. I do it all for you, Mulder. Everything you want, I do it for you. And then like she gets up to go, and then he's like, and then you finally left. I just started laughing. I was like, oh, the way David Duchovny delivered that line, it was so great. Alyssa just turned and gave me this look. I was like, it was just so funny. And she's just sitting on that bed. Oh, that was the other thing. Like when Scully's on that bed delivering all of her dialogue, her voice is like this because the magic fingers are bouncing her as she's delivering all these lines. It's so good. It's brilliant. It's just brilliant.
But he pays for the pizza, and then in his mind, he lays down on that bed like completely clean. He has, clean t-shirt on, clean underwear, boxers, whatever.
He's got out of the shower.
But he's still eating a pizza on a bed that's just violently vibrating him.
Yeah.
What a dickhead thing to do.
He's got that slice of pizza, and he's trying to take a bite, and it's just flopping all over the place as he tries to put it in his mouth.
Man, that was good. But then he realizes that he's been drugged, and he's trying to he sees the redheaded kid come back in, and doesn't the kid flash his fangs at him?
Yeah, his eyes start glowing. He starts flashing his fangs. Yeah,
and then he my favorite scene. He grabs these handfuls of sunflower seeds and just starts tossing them all over the room. And the kid looks at it and then reaches down and he starts putting the seeds one after another into his hand. He's like, why did you do that? You're going to be in such trouble. And I lost it.
Yeah, he's like, oh man,
yeah.
Why'd you do that? And then David Duchovny points at him I know, I got you, sort of thing. Is so funny.
Oh god. And then it kind of continues, that's when Scully there's a time that passes, and then Scully shoots the kid. At least from Mulder's perspective, she sees him hit him, and then they
twice right in the chest.
They chase him out into the woods, and we saw the ending at the pre-title screen. So then, they shared their stories from both of their different perspectives. Cuts back to the coroner that's actually working on doing the autopsy of Ronnie, which is, weird. because they didn't have a refrigerated place or anybody to do an autopsy when Scully
Yeah,
was there, and now they just do. But oh well, whatever.
doesn't matter.
Right. Voodoo. The coroner takes the stake out of Ronnie's chest, and Ronnie comes back to life almost immediately and attacks the coroner, though he doesn't have his vampire teeth. They're both about to get their ass chewings from Skinner. They're sitting there looking like sick puppies outside of his office.
I love that moment. That moment when they're sitting there and Scully leans over to try to make Mulder's tie look a little straighter, and he shushes it away. He's like, "Get away from me!" Just their interactions here, and she's like, "Mulder, I'm really going to emphasize that you were drugged." He's like, "Stop it! Stop it! Just stop it!" And then when Skinner comes out, he's like, "Mulder, Scully," and Mulder jumps up. "I was drugged."
And he tells him, it's like, "You guys got to go back to Texas because the body is missing and the coroner got attacked." And they're like, "Well, they started talking about the coroner as though he was past, dead." And they're like, "No, he just got gnawed on a little bit."
Yeah, his throat was just gnawed on.
And so they go back, they find that they go out to the graveyard because they figured that's where he has to rest. Ronnie has to rest. And the sheriff just happens to be there. And I'm like, oh my God, this is the point that I remembered everybody was a vampire, basically.
Yeah.
The sheriff was a vampire. He starts talking about how seductive vampires are with Scully. And he's hinting real hard at it. Like, yeah, I'm a vampire too. Mulder tracks down Ronnie inside of his coffin, inside of his trailer, and sits on top of the casket as Ronnie is trying to get out while he's reading him his Miranda rights.
He's straddling this thing. He's bouncing all over. This Ronnie's trying to get out of it.
And he eventually gets uses his handcuffs to close the coffin. And then he goes outside because he sees all these people approaching the trailer, and he grabs a couple of breadsticks. It was and he makes a crucifix in front of all these vampires, and none of them react to it.
Yeah, garlic breadsticks.
And they attack him. It looks like as they're going to commercial break, it looks like this is the end of Mulder. And no, he wakes up. He checks his feet are hanging out of the window of his car because he passed out there that night. He checks his neck, but the RV park, everything is gone.
I love that moment when he's checking his neck in the rearview mirror, and he accidentally honks the horn. He jumps in fright.
And then they go back, they give their report to Skinner. Skinner's that is looking at them like that is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard. And it's like, that was all true. And Mulder says something to the extent of, yeah, it was all true, except for the buck teeth. But before that, and I'm skipping a part, it's like Scully is like, "I was drugged."
Yeah. I was drugged. Well, it was funny because when Skinner's looking at him, it was like, "That's the story," and Scully goes, "Well, I can't confirm nor deny Mulder's version of events for which I was not a part of," and Mulder's like, "And I can't confirm Scully's version of events for which I was not there." And then Mulder looks over at Skinner. He's like, "It was, pretty much exactly mostly the truth." Something like that. It's so good. It is so good.
Excellent episode.
All right, your thoughts overall.
Maybe my favorite episode this season.
Yeah.
Maybe, probably.
Maybe, probably, kinda. It might make our top 5 best of.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, I absolutely love this. I love how much they packed into 44 minutes. you're basically telling three different stories here. You're telling Mulder's story, Scully's story, and then the third act of this is, what's really going on. I love the idea of the vampires because, like, when Luke Wilson's, who's the sheriff, is in the car, kind of putting the moves on Scully and drugging her with hot chocolate or whatever he made for her. They're talking about like vampires and Scully sitting there like, well, because I think Mulder mentions earlier on, he's like, look, there's vampires, like very few vampires in mythology actually have fangs. That's something that Bram Stoker created. So maybe vampires, there's all different types. And Luke Wilson's like, man, I'm sorry about Ronnie. Like Ronnie makes us all look real bad and stuff like that. And you realize like all of these like vampires are, because he's like, we go to work, we pay our taxes and all of this stuff. And like all these vampires are just like good people. Like they're not trying to like murder people and suck their blood or anything like that. And yeah, the banter between Mulder and Scully in this episode was great, kind of pointing out the fact that all the things that we kind of critique about their relationship over various episodes of the series. Vince Gilligan's like, like one of my big criticisms of Mulder in a lot of these episodes, he just comes across as an asshole to Scully in a lot of this stuff. And I think Vince Gilligan also thought that when he was writing this episode, because like from Scully's perspective, Mulder is an asshole for a lot of the stuff, like how he kind of dismisses, like in her version when they're in that when she's about to do the autopsy and Mulder's like her quote unquote theory and like making fun of her theories and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, he is kind of an asshole. And then like from Mulder's perspective, like he's like Scully is kind of like this almost like an alpha female, like overbearing on him and like cutting him down with all of his stuff. It's like you can kind of see that as well. And I thought Mulder or David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson were great acting wise on this. I thought this was one of the strongest acting jobs from David Duchovny in this, just playing like the different versions of Mulder throughout this. I loved it. I thought it was. This might be in my top 5 of all time favorite episodes. Honestly,
Wow.
I loved it. I don't think there's anything in this episode I did not enjoy.
It was a lot of fun. And I hope you all had fun watching it too, if you watched it.
Yeah. Leave a comment down below. What do you guys think about Bad Blood? Is this the best episode of season 5? We shall see. We're going to have, I think, 8 more episodes left in this episode or this season before we hit the movie, so it'll be kind of interesting. So, fun facts about Bad Blood. Bad Blood was written by Vince Gilligan, making it his 5th writing credit for the season. Aware that an episode script was due after the Christmas break of 1997, he had been working on a script that would have taken the form of an Unsolved Mysteries episode, with unknown actors playing Mulder and Scully and Robert Stack appearing in his role as narrator. Wow. Under pressure to complete the script, Gilligan scrapped the idea because he, quote, just couldn't figure out how to do it, unquote. The series would later explore the idea of an X-Files crossover in the guise of nonfiction with the 7th season episode X-Cops, also penned by Gilligan. With the help of executive producer Frank Spotnitz, Gilligan came up with a new idea inspired by an episode of The Dick Van Dyke Show called The Night the Roof Fell In which the main characters, Rob and Laura Petrie, tell different versions of a fight that they have had. Gilligan said of the idea, I just thought it was a cool way to tell a story. With 2 versions of the same story taking up much of the episode, Gilligan knew that he would have to keep the plot simple, and so he settled on a vampire story that everyone could easily follow. Both Mulder and Scully's unique versions of the episode were filmed back to back, utilizing, quote, the exact same sets and camera angles, unquote. I guess I didn't even realize that it was all the exact same camera angles. That's kind of, now that I think back on it, I didn't even notice it when I was watching it, but them telling their stories, yeah, it was the same camera angles. The RV park that was featured in the episode stood on the side of an old sawmill that had burned down. In fact, the mill had been used by the show in the 4th season episode eXhuming. Casting and effects, Luke Wilson was cast to play Sheriff Hartwell. He had previously starred in the comedy film Home Fries, which had been scripted by Vince Gilligan. Local Vancouver comedian and actor Brent Butt played the coroner. Patrick Renna played Ronnie Strickland. He said of the part, quote, "Before we started, I asked if Ronnie was pretending to be a moron. The writers told me, no, he's really just a moron," unquote. The Out of Control RV was created by the show's special effects coordinator, David Gauthier. A secondary steering wheel was rigged up so that the stunt driver could steer the car from the back of the vehicle out of the camera's sight. Wilson and Renna were fitted with faux vampire teeth, which were sardonically labeled funny fangs, courtesy of a special makeup effect coordinator. Wilson later recounted that they fit comfortably in the actor's mouth, musing, "The retainers I had to wear as a kid never fit as well." In order to create the glowing green eyes of the vampires, fluorescent material was glued to the actors' eyelids. However, because they were unable to see, this gave the vampires a somewhat vacant stare. The corpses with fangs marks were created by makeup artist Laverne Basham. In order to create a suitable model for the bite marks, Gilligan bit the back of his hand to show Basham exactly what he wanted. So, according to Suzanne Cord, Bad Blood explores the dynamics of the relationship between Mulder and Scully by developing the dysfunctional potential of their routine interactions. If Scully hits the glass ceiling, in Scully hits the glass ceiling, postmodernism, postfeminism, posthumanism, and the X-Files, Linda Badley suggests that the X-Files often subverts the concept of the male gaze through the whole series, and Bad Blood includes an example of this, allowing Scully to be the one that gazes at Sheriff Hartwell. And then Michelle Bush, in her book Myth X, described the episode as allowing the viewer to, quote, "a peek inside Mulder and Scully's heads by showing how they see themselves and each other, as well as their insecurities about their attractiveness to the other." The title Bad Blood can be applied to the tension between the two characters in the episode, and she described how in each of their stories they try to describe themselves in the way the other would find attractive. So there you have it. One other quick thing that I loved in this episode is when Mulder's telling his side of the story about how when Scully came into the room and shot Ronnie twice directly in the chest, and Scully's like, because Scully's like, she thinks she missed all the shots, right? If I remember correctly,
Yes.
she's like, I didn't hit it. And from Mulder's perspective, Ronnie jumps at her like this crazy jump across the bed, and Scully's like he jumped at me like a flying squirrel. He's like, oh, kind of like a fly. I love that too. Tons of laughs, tons of fun, Bad Blood. Anything else to say? I mean, it's great.
I've got nothing more.
All right. So thanks, everybody, for listening to another episode of Exhuming the X-Files here on Outpost Unknown. Hit that like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Tell us what you thought of Bad Blood. We'll be back next Friday with an episode called Patient X. Sounds interesting. I don't remember that at all. So thank you, everybody. Have a great night.